Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lunch and Learn with FalkBuilt. We'll just give a few minutes here to people who are just joining in, rolling out of the class, and then we'll be good to start.
Perfect.
Okay, I think we have people here. We can select them. Hello, everyone. I am Kevin Ade. I am events director at ETSA. We have here Thom and Erin here from FalkBuilt. They will be taking over. Please ask any questions whenever you want to. Just unmute yourself or in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat. So over to you, I guess. There you go.
Perfect. Fantastic. Well, good. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to walk through Falk with us here today. Just to kind of give you a little sneak preview of what is coming with the technology and how we're incorporating in multiple different technologies into what we do for the built environment here at Falk. Okay, and that's generally what we do. We have two companies here. FalkBuilt is the manufacturing side of things, which creates these digital components that I'm going to show you here for interior spaces. Okay, so offices, healthcare spaces, education, classrooms, whatnot. We're able to create an environment that is all digitally programmed right here at the factory. Okay, and so we actually have a secondary company that we call Echo, and that is actually our software side of things. All right, and so what that allows us to do is to be able to kind of change the construction industry and the way that it works now, right? And for those of you that are just entering into the workforce in this design side, or those of that have been in it, it's a very fragmented industry. It's one of the last where technology really has not penetrated to the overall process of construction, right? And this is a challenge that we're trying to rectify here, especially with our Echo platform. And so generally what happens right now is you get, the architect or designer will go in and they'll use what we like to call sort of a macro level software, something like Revit, that's designed to specifically look at, the building itself, the envelope, the floor plans, the layouts, those types of things, all those larger kind of scale items, okay? But when you get down into the manufacturing side, everyone in the world that fabricates from some kind of 3D model system, right? So in our case, we use Inventor, Fusion's another one, SolidWorks, there's hundreds of them out there, right? None of them fully collaborate and talk to one another. So what happens here now is that on the design side, you design in one software, and then it's human interaction to go ahead and redesign in another software to handle those different types of levels into it. So what our Echo platform is doing is harnessing the power of the cloud, and we're going to skip that process altogether, okay? It essentially becomes the single source of truth. So all that information, right, from the macro level right down to the screws and those types of things that go within, okay, all live in that cloud platform. And then these softwares, they pull that information that they need to be able to do the setups that they're designed to do, but it's all coming from a single source. So this allows a streamlined flow of communication, pulling information from the same sort of data set, as well as then taking it even further to the job site itself, so that the contractor, the subtrade, even the client can walk through with a web viewer and that type of thing and see those 3D information real time as well too. So it's such an important part of the process of what we're trying to do. And all of this is based off of existing softwares out there. So we're not having to go ahead and reinvent the wheel and also train hundreds of thousands of people how to learn some new software, right? So this is, again, being able to encompass what's already existing and tie right into that pipeline. So that's how we're kind of being in alignment on that front end. And so within here, we use, we've got inventor modelers, we have Revit users. They're all within here in our facility. I'll show you downstairs here as well too, where we work with everybody as well. So one of the other elements here that allows for us is also to be able to create 3D environments. Okay, and again, this is using your iPad, an iPhone, a tablet, that type of thing on your desktop. And because it's in the cloud, we're able to tie right into Revit and be able to have these environments that most people that don't come from the industry, they need something like this to be able to comprehend all those different types of building collisions, room sizes, that type of thing. So this allows us to essentially become the Zoom of the construction industry and have people built right into that software, being able to walk through and have design discussion and meetings right within. So again, being able to elevate that level. So for us, that's kind of the direction that we're headed on the technology side. Now, the other is being able to go in and tie in to sort of a similar process that they're accustomed to on the job sites. And that's what we call our digital component construction. We're tying in the technology to a prefabricated stick-built approach. And let me take you out into the factory and we'll show you what we mean by that and how we're running that out of this facility. And again, this is our headquarters right here in Calgary. I will pass that over to Erin and she'll follow us through here. So we've got 90,000 square feet of manufacturing space here down just right behind the Deerfoot Inn and Casino, okay? So not only is it our manufacturing, it's our headquarters as well too. So beneath me here is actually our headquarters in our timber mezzanine that we have within, okay? So being able to have it all here within the space gives us a tremendous amount of flexibility as well as communication here. So having everybody in this type of open environment, we'll take you down and show you the office there as well too. But just to kind of show you the type of construction that we're doing here. Off-site construction is the way of the future, right? Everybody's getting into some form of it. And generally what it's been is a volumetric or a panelized modular solution that's been around for like 100 years, right? This is something that Sears did in the 1915s when you could order houses from their catalog, and that's how it would show up in these panelized fashions, being able to put it in. So everybody's been trying to do some spin on that version of that idea for quite some time. Now, there's a lot of drawbacks to that, okay? One being the technologies like we discussed already here, but then also the way that the material works. Trying to get, big, huge, pre-built volumetric rooms and those types of things to the job site. There's inefficiencies all over it. Redundancy of materials, waste of space for transportation and freight. You're shipping 90% air, things like that, as well as then the flexibility afterwards, right? You're building essentially a container unit, you plunk it down, and that's all it ever is. When they go to change it, you're essentially tearing it apart like a conventional approach. So this is where we differ, okay? The big thing that we're doing here is everything we're doing is based off of how they build already, a stick-built component approach, okay? But all the materials are standardized. So it gives you a incredible amount of simplicity on the job site, but then flexibility for down the road as well too, because you're utilizing the same materials throughout the space, okay? Because it's a huge repurpose value out of the materials. It also then gives us that freight capacity. We're doing things all across the globe, so we want to be able to maximize the freight to get it to the job site. That kind of IKEA flat pack approach, but it's got to be simple to go together or we would lose on the labor efficiency on the job site. So that's where we pulled from innovations, okay? So our super stud system here, this is all based off of industrial racking or pallet racking that's been around for 60, 70 years. The way that everything goes together is just like you would see a rack. So our digital horizontals tie into our studs just like that. And that's how we assemble all the framing on the job site. It gives us a dramatic amount of labor efficiency, a quarter of the time of a conventional buildup, right? And then being able to repurpose it down the road as well too. So it's such an important part of the entirety of the story, right? Not only for efficiencies and economics, but then for sustainability as well too. Being able to repurpose all of the material rather than having to throw it to the landfill really gives us a huge longevity to all these spaces that we're building out right now. again, both commercial, education, as well as hospital environments. So now for us, the last part is we use a cladding system. We call our cladding panels here. And that's what finishes off these partitions here. So they board very easily. They snap on into the system here. Again, because these are all standardized patterns here, we're able to have the flexibility to move them around into the space as well too. So it gives us a lot of opportunity there. And so we use it to be able to create different types of aspects here. So we've got all of our commercial spaces here. So showing different types of offices, things like that, being able to do the complete application here. And this is something that's been very popular for us, all these freestanding structures where we've actually created a valence solution to carry the ceiling to be able to create these really sort of acoustically sound environments. And they're all over here now. We use it, of course, here in our factory environment, but co-working spaces, hospitals, even classrooms, being able to do things like this and change out retail environments and whatnot as well too. Also being able to use the technology to be able to create custom, right? And that's such an important part of our DNA here is, right? Custom is the first 6 letters of the word customer, right? So we want to be able to respond to their detailing, which conventional construction had always had a leg up on some kind of modular. But now, because we're tying it into that technology and these simple components, we're able to create, elevations like what you see behind me here with the technology and those types of things very easily into the solution here. Now, one of the other aspects here too is when you get into things like healthcare and that type, being able to handle the complexity of the infrastructure. So this becomes an important part of it, right? And I'm sure you've all heard about BIM and all those different types of aspects, right? By utilizing the eco technology, tying it together with these materials here, it allows us to take that even farther ahead, right? And actually be able to see a lot of those building collisions, collisions for all of the infrastructure that goes within, but then having the flexibility again to be able to manipulate it down the road. So for us, we've got complete electrical systems built in here, med gases, those types of things. This is an actual head wall solution that we have into the space here. And so being able to use different levels of electrical as well too. So pre-wired applications, empty boxes, things like quick connect electrical. So just using like your at-home extension cord technology, being able to daisy chain things like that throughout the entire system. So it's very simple connections to the actual base building as well too. So just trying to squeeze every ounce of efficiency out of that job site by doing these off-site constructions, really kind of the mantra that we try to follow here in the space. Let's take you into the healthcare environment here as well too. And please, as we're walking through here, go ahead and you can ask me questions at any time. I can hear you just fine here. I can't see the screen though, so if you're typing in, somebody will have to read it to me. So utilizing some more of our materials here, okay? And everything that we do is something that we call FalkBuilt, okay? It's a complete wrap of all of our finishes. So they come pre-finished to the job site, so there isn't any fabrication, painting, mudding tape, and things like that. We snap them onto the system, but we can also use them for all of our millwork, our things like our reception stations, our nurses stations, all tied into it. So you get that same kind of fit and finish throughout the space, but you get an incredible amount of durability. Right? So you get a huge longevity to this material. So again, it can be repurposed throughout the site. So for us, it works to our advantage, especially when we get into the healthcare environment, right? So being able to meet things like the infection control that's required in these types of spaces, all right? But not having that institutional feel to it, right? So being able to design and create what the design has in mind, being able to bring that to fruition. So things like the head walls and whatnot you see behind us here, as well as being able to incorporating acoustic properties and that type of thing into the space. And we're doing complete, build outs of ICUs, patient rooms, clinics. We're doing several clinics in Calgary right now as well too. And how we're able to not only elevate the look and fit and finish of the space, but then be able to enhance the schedule dramatically by doing, again, this offsite construction. And that's such a challenge out there right now too. The materials are getting harder to get. The trades are getting harder to get. They're just not out there anymore. It's just, it's incredibly unfortunate. So we have to be able to help the trades that are remaining become more efficient on the job site to be able to handle the demand of construction that's coming down the road as well too. And that's really something that's important for us here. So one of the other items here as well is then creating things like our classroom environment. And so I'll just show you that briefly here as well. But, you know, looking at these sort of alternative workspaces and how we're looking at, you know, flexible environments as well too. So we've created classrooms where we're creating these simple divisions here with our telescoping doors. And then we want to be able to completely open the space up, right? So that you can utilize it for different events and things like that, as well as incorporating all the technology into our systems here as well, right? So creating collaborative spaces, whatnot. So important for us to be able to respond, be able to create things like these touch-capable displays built into our wall, keep all the technology buried within as well too, so you can have your Apple TVs and that type of thing into the environment here. So very important for how we're able to respond to our clients' needs as well too. Even going into the retail environment, we've got some applications now where we've done things like these kiosks here, okay? Again, retail environment is another space that's changing dramatically. So creating things like this, and this was a developer, they had a big box store that had gone bankrupt. So rather than going in and trying to find another anchor tenant that is becoming more and more challenging to do, they created these smaller kiosks for local tenants to come in, right? And without a back of house inventory, so they were able to reduce their rent. They got more people in, and then they treat them as like online showrooms. Okay, so the client would come in, they pick out what they want, and then the teller orders it online for them and ships it out to them the next day. So just different ways we're seeing that the marketplace is responding to these changing landscapes. And then one of the latest and greatest are things like this, that such a dramatic change in the way that the workplace is going. So things like these Zoom pods and phone rooms and that type of thing. So being able to create environments like this and drop them right into a space, it makes it very easy to adapt to the current situation that we're in, but then be able to change here as things grow and the workforce changes as well too. So nothing is static in what we're doing here. So it's very important for us. We don't know what the future is going to look like, but we have to be able to adapt. And that's kind of the basis of our platform here. So I just want to take you down and show you where everybody's working here in the facility. And just so you can see sort of the flow of communication in for a space, you know, we put our headquarters right in the middle of the factory. So that way, you know, everybody has accessibility to anyone at any given time, right? We're in construction, so we have to be able to respond to quick schedules and communication here. So within here, this is our area for our automation. So our modelers are living in this space here. We've got product development, project management, Revit users within here as well too. And so this is all built right into the middle of our factory here in our timber structure within, right? So just being able to give a little bit of a different feel to the space. We use it here constantly, even for touchdown meeting areas and whatnot into the environment here. And then, as I mentioned here, all the manufacturing takes place right here in this facility here. You can see some of our presses here. This is what creates the bulk skins here for us and creates our finishes. And this is, we've just increased our capacity by adding in some more equipment here. We wanted to be able to respond to market demands, right? The market's really heating up and we see a lot of business heading our way. So let's take you upstairs and show you the factory itself here as well. So this is our other timber structure that we call our Falk nest, okay? But this you guys, this is the pinnacle of that digital component approach. These creating these timbers, even this stairwell here behind us, is all done in the 3D model, okay? Right down to the joinery itself. So that way, when it comes to us, okay, it's all just assembly on the job site, right? Even the stairwell, just assembled together, dramatically reducing the time on the job site. So you get the flexibility and the leverage of the technology with these digital components, right? But you can still have this opportunity to design something like this. Oh, there's the watchdog. Yeah, hi, Lucky. So then the factory, like I say, it flows around our main headquarters here. And so what we've got is a very simple solution, okay? Because it's tied into the technology, because we're making these smaller digital components, very high throughput out of a small footprint, okay? 90,000 square feet, we could do about 250 million a year out of this facility, right? It's a great business model for us. So 4 simple production cells. So behind here, this is the steel area. So this is where all those super studs, the digital horizontals, and all the pre-wired power are done in this space here, okay? we control the material right here in house. You can actually see the roll formers in the background. That's what takes from the coil of steel. It runs it through, it forms it to the shape, so the tubes or those horizontals, and then they shear to size by the technology. So there's very little fall off that comes off of that equipment here. So it's incredibly efficient in this small footprint that we have in the facility. Same with all the aluminum for our glass walls and our doors and that type of thing, all produced here. And again, everything we do goes to the job site in this flat pack fashion. So we're able to dramatically reduce that freight to get it to the job site, right? And this, again, not only from an economic standpoint, but then a sustainability, being able to reduce the energy that it takes to be able to produce that type of a space, right? So all the way through from essentially the life cycle of the material. And then all of our finishes and our millwork, so our cladding panels, are produced in this area here, okay? So what you see is the panels, they come through, and everything we do here gets printed on with a QR code, okay? So that way it has the information of the material on it, plus it ties it directly into that 3D viewer of the model. So when it comes through here, we get printed on, it gets cut to size through our nesting cables here, and the electrical is cut out into it. It draws right into our adhesive line, and then right through those 12 skin presses, right? So it makes it very simple. Everything we do here follows that full manufacturing process. So the raw materials are stored around the perimeter, they draw through, and then right out our shipping doors, right? So it gives us an incredible amount of efficiency out of such a small footprint. Then the last area over in the backside there, that's our custom shop, okay? We're in construction, so we have to be able to handle custom items at any given moment here. So several pieces of equipment there, lasers, brakes, turrets, things like that. So we're able to go ahead and manipulate our standard details to create these custom items. And because everything we do is in the 3D model, we're able to do it quickly and tie it directly into that equipment, right? So this allows us to respond much different than a sort of a traditional manufacturer that has to wait for tooling and dies and lines and all these different types of things to come into the space. So it just kind of gives you a brief aspect of the factory itself. But so because it's so simple, okay, and it's tied to the technology, this allows us a huge opportunity to scale up. So already here, we have gone, and let me just share my screen again. We've gone and started manufacturing globally. Okay, this is one of our most exciting setups that I've been involved in. And just to give you an example, okay, so we have branches all around the world. This is our branch in Mumbai, India. Okay, and so what we've done here is because we're tying into the technology, the steel framing that I was showing you, the aluminum, that was produced here in Calgary. Okay, but all the cladding panels, the millwork you see here, the glazing, all of that was produced in India. Okay, so because we're in the technology, we're producing from the same files, everything magically fits together when it gets to the job site. But think of the reduction that we're able to do in the transportation by being able to pull the raw materials locally, okay, and tying them together with the more complicated components and that type of thing. And so when it came to this was like less than half a container that we had to send over there, and the rest was all sourced from that local region. So it gives us a huge opportunity to not only scale our business, but have an effect going forward on how things are produced and how things are manufactured all around the world. So that's a real opportunity for us that we see as huge potential to be able to change the industry and what we're trying to accomplish right now. And just to give you a couple more examples of how we're able to produce different types of markets. So this is actually for a sort of a distribution center. Okay, at the front end, once you see the colors, I'm sure you'll figure out who it is. But doing the entirety of the space, so building out bathrooms, building out lunch areas, doing things like 14'7" high freestanding structures, being able to use the strength of that racking application and the philosophy behind it, right? So being able to create these types of environments very easily, again, saving huge amount of time on the schedule. So this one, actually, we saved about 5 weeks off of the schedule itself, right? So again, having those challenges of not enough material, not enough labor on the job site, still being able to utilize this type of system to be able to basically use risk mitigation against what's going on out there in the marketplace right now. So again, just some different details into the space. One of the other being healthcare. So this one was a clinic here, and again, saving 9 weeks off the construction schedule because of the way that the system assembles on the job site, right? So being able to go in and again do freestanding applications, They come in and do the different types of finishes into the space here. Gives us a huge flexibility for our clients and how they're able to design into the environment here, right? So just some different ways that we're able to respond to what they're doing out there as well too. Good. Well, at this point, I can open it up for any questions that anyone might have here. Let me just check the chat too, see if I missed any here. Nope, no questions yet. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them here for you. Was that a drone? No, we're walking around like a couple of tourists. So Erin, it's just like a little gimbal that's got the iPhone on there, and then Erin follows me around every day. I'm sure she gets tired of following me around, but this is how we've done this. We had to change because of the pandemic. Being a global company, traditionally we would have had people come and visit us here in the factory so they could see what we're doing. And we've been now doing these for 18 months, I guess it is, or whatever it is, where we've been taking everybody throughout the space by doing it digitally here. So, and people have responded well. What was that question there? Can you reuse or recycle the super studs? Yeah, absolutely. So that's the purpose. So because they're standardized, you can reuse them first, right? Before you have to recycle, right? So we kind of decoupled the framing from the finishes themselves. So now when you go ahead and you manipulate the space, you're able to repurpose that. And then again, at the end of life, say, 20 years or whatever, yeah, they're just steel. So of course you can go ahead and recycle the material, but we like to be able to repurpose it first before we have to put the energy into the recycling part of the process there. So, yeah. But what are the materials used by the printers? Oh, the 3D printers that we had downstairs there and that type of thing. Is that what you were looking at? I would imagine. Yeah, so we've got a bunch of different applications in here. So there's about 6 or 7 3D printers that we use down below there as well too, for any kind of modeling and prototyping. But then we also, for the printers, everything we do has a QR code onto it, right? So it's got basically a digital as-built of everything that we produce, right? It gives us benefits on so many levels. One, of course, logistics when it's in the factory, for getting it to the job site, for the trades when they get it there. But then for after use for our clients is that they can scan and they can manipulate the space and incorporate that into their digital as-builts. So it constantly gives them an inventory of where the materials are at, and for when it comes to renovation work, they're able to do that very easy as well too. Well, the controversial question between FalkBuilt decos and dirt and ice. Well, we're very proud of what we did at dirt. Dirt was founded over 16 years ago, and when we developed ice, the iPhone didn't even exist yet. The cloud wasn't even available. So everything that's done there, it's all proprietary, right? And it's all desktop bound. So it's very different than what we're doing in this application because we're not developing the design software. The design software is Revit. The design software is Inventor, right? Why we go and reinvent the wheel and then have to make 200,000 people learn how to use its software? Our engine ties the existing softwares together, using open API, that type of thing. And the only reason we chose Revit and Inventor was because they're Autodesk products and they're widely used out in the marketplace right now. With the way that the platform works, is it can tie into any modeling software out there, right? And that's what it's doing. It's taking those desktop-bound softwares and pulling them in and harnessing the power of the cloud, rather than using the cloud just like a publishing, basically a file management software, which is essentially what most of them do right now. You're actually pulling that information directly from the cloud itself, right? So now your Revit files can get exponentially bigger, right? You're pulling that processing power as you need it as well too, right? If you've ever worked on a project and you've got like multi-floors into it, chances are you're breaking it up into multiple different Revit files. Whereas here, now you can model the entirety of the building and be pulling that processing power as need be. So very different there. I hope that answers your question. Still a great company. We still got lots of friends over there. When you become a public company and they fire you, what are you going to do? Good. Perfect. Well, if there's no more questions, I appreciate everybody taking the time to walk through here with us. And once we get through this craziness, everybody can come visit anytime they like.
I guess everyone's just happy seeing like a tour, because usually we have presentation, but this was a real different, I would say, experience. Just you were walking through it and we were looking at everything. It was just amazing, I would say.
Great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
Fantastic, everyone. Well, hey, we're always looking for people. So make sure, when you guys graduate, send through your resumes.
Yeah. What would be, I think some of them would have a question that if they want to try contact you, do they just find you on LinkedIn or somewhere?
Yeah, that's perfect. We've got our emails are all on the website as well too, so you can contact us through there as well. And yeah, send through. I mean, yeah, we get tons of people from SAIT working here already, so we'd love to. We love to bring more in. So
Okay. Yeah. I guess if they have any more questions, they can reach you out to your email, LinkedIn, or they can message me. I can contact you for sure. But thank you. That was I loved it. I'm sure many of us loved it. So it's a great,
perfect.
great tour. Thank you.
All right, absolutely, anytime. All right, thank you, everyone, and look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you. Have a good
All
day.
right. All right, thanks.